Welcome back to the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. What we do here is shine the light of truth on the deep state. They hate that. We do it figuratively with our presentations. We do it literally with our sponsor's product, PatriotLegacy.com. PatriotLegacy.com, featured product of theirs, the Patriot Beacon. 6 overall lighting functions. In addition, solar powered, don't need batteries. You can charge your other devices like your phone from it. In addition, you got a compass, you got a window breaking hammer, and you got a seatbelt cutter. Plus, if those deep state dweebs get just a little bit too close to you, blast them with this. They're gone. Go to patrioticlegacy.com, patrioticlegacy.com. Get yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your car. Can carry it with you anytime. patrioticlegacy.com, the Patriot Beacon. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and welcome back to Wham Talk 1600's Operating Theater. It's the only OR in all of talk radio. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from, our accessory bunker. In addition, Derek, my wingman's at our Wham Talk 1600's Freedom Bunker. I'm in the accessory bunker because, Governor Whitmer still has us in a shelter-in-place order. In addition, there's another reason why I'm broadcasting from our accessory bunker, and we'll get to that in a minute. Bottom line, folks, what we do here with Operation Freedom is we dissect current events that are impacting you, your family, your business, our community, and our country. And we bring to our operating room information and guests the bought-off lamestream fake media either ignores because it doesn't fit into their preconceived politically correct bought-off agenda, because, folks, they're petrified. They're petrified of what might happen if they actually tell you what you need to know. This show is about your freedom. Your economic, your financial, your healthcare, freedom. So, had some issues develop this week. In addition to our shelter-in-place order by Governor Whitmer, I had a bit of a medical issue develop. No, not coronavirus. But Dave, about 2 years ago, had a detached retina in his right eye. And it got great treatment, and it healed up perfectly. And there I was doing a bunch of research this week to prepare for today's show, and I started to notice something with my left eye. And it progressively got worse over the week. I ended up seeing some great professionals who then got me over to the University of Michigan, and I had emergency surgery night before last on my left eye for a detached and torn retina. Now, for all of those folks that have never heard about a detached retina, make sure if you start seeing symptoms of, if you will, a lot of what are floaters or kind of little black spots floating around, or if you see some blurriness in your vision, waviness, don't wait. Call your doc. Get in to see an ophthalmologist. And that's what I did. And luckily that they caught it, and they caught it early, and I was able to get over to the University of Michigan and get treated. Now, here's the thing. How your post-op recovery is treated is dependent on where, if you will, the detachment occurred of the retina. With my right eye 2 years ago, it was way toward the top of my eye, and so I ended up having to keep my head straight ahead, looking forward for about a month. Couldn't drop my head down. This one, as bad as I thought that was, this one on my left eye, it turns out that, it's in a different part of the retina. And I have to be face down for at least a week. So this is coming to you from our accessory bunker, courtesy of Governor Whitmer, and courtesy of my unforeseen, pun intended, unforeseen situation this week. I am doing this show from a lying down position, face down. So if things seemed a little jumbled, then you know why. Now, the good news is that I'm told that this will only last, this face down position, for between 5 to 7 days. And because of that, what we're doing is I'm doing a up-to-date first segment And then the remainder of this show will be a best of show. We have great guests. I encourage you to stay with us today. Joe Bastardi, Dr. Robin McCutcheon, Dr. Jane Hughes, speaking about healthcare policy, Dr. Michael Rechtenwald, speaking about the hypocrisy of academia. And the last segment's a segment that's backed by popular demand. I did a segment recently on the two-tiered Just Us system, not Just Us, JUST-US. And nothing actually could be more apparent because just on Friday, and that would be, I guess, April 3rd, the Justice Department asked for an extension as it relates to General Flynn's case for another 30 days. The Just Us system just struck again. Now, for those of you who are subscribers on the platform, we will be doing a WTF show this week. I will be providing that on the usual Wednesday. And on Thursday, right before actually this event happened, I ended up taping an interview with Joe Flynn, the brother of General Michael Flynn, and I taped that the other day, and a couple hours actually, as I mentioned before my Unforeseen event. And we're going to be putting that up on the platform on our usual Insider Insight show spot on Thursday. It's interesting with this eye surgery. Professionals were fantastic at the University of Michigan. It was almost a old home week in the pre-op holding area. I think the 7 nurses that were there, I had either taken care of each one of them when I was still practicing, or I had worked with them at the hospitals I had worked at in the area, or I had operated on a number of these nurses, and they were fantastic. But it's interesting, I got an incredible, if you will, inside look at what's happening at a major medical center with the coronavirus issues. Now look, there are many people out there that are saying that this is all a hoax, that there aren't a number of people out there that have this devastating problem and involvement of the respiratory systems with coronavirus. So I guess let's get a silver lining in this cloud of retina issues. My experience, folks, of what I saw going through the system, is the system crumbling? Absolutely not. And that's some of the fear porn that's out there, that hospital systems have completely crashed and the like. No. Let me tell you something. You have the best docs, the best nurses, the best therapists, the best staffs anywhere in the world, at every medical center in our country. They're working day and night and saving people's lives and doing everything possible to save every person's life. And I can tell you for certain, coronavirus is real. It's not a hoax. There are many people. Southeast Michigan is a viral hotspot area. As I said, if you talked to me 2 Mondays ago, I'd say, yep, it's an issue here, but we would not consider this a hotspot. And as I mentioned in last week's show, come Wednesday, that would be March 25th, all of a sudden it was like a wall of water hitting. And we start and the number of people coming in, very symptomatic, and a number of those folks having to go to more stringent care, more observational care, but also some people to the intensive care units, increased significantly. And that increase has continued. And is the system overwhelmed? From all of my contacts, not just in Southeast Michigan, but around the country, in some places, they can be stretched a bit, but they are not overwhelmed. So this business out there with this fear porn that people are going to be removed from ventilators, or current people are currently being removed from ventilators to have room for other, that's not the case. So don't buy into that. But I also don't want you to buy into those people that are saying this is all a hoax. That this is all cover for something else. There might be other things going on behind the curtain. But the bottom line is, I do not want you to look past the virus and say it does not exist, because you're setting yourself up for trouble if you do. Now look, there are many parts of this country that are minimally affected by the virus. And to our listeners, because we have listeners in all 50 states and in 60 countries around the world, to all those folks that are in areas where the virus has not hit hard, I'm happy for you. I truly am. But that doesn't mean that you should not take the appropriate precautions. As I've mentioned, the 15-day plan that the president issued with the coronavirus task force is now kind of gone into a 45-day plan. Implement. They're basic things to do. And I get in trouble for this. People say I'm minimizing the issue. Some people say you're minimizing the issue by saying people should wash their hands frequently. Yes. When you wake up, before you go to bed. Before and after every meal. If you drop something on the floor, pick it up. If you tie your shoes, wash those hands. Sneezing and coughing and using tissues, wash your hands afterwards. The washing of the hands is absolutely critical. And I don't want you to minimize doing that one little action, because that reduces the viral load that you bring into when you touch your eyes, touch your nose, you put things in your mouth. It is absolutely critical. And I encourage you to do that, as we just spoke about. Now, hand sanitizer works, but remember, hand sanitizer only lasts for not very long, as long as you can smell the alcohol in your hands, 15, 30 seconds. It still does some work, but it's most effective in that first 15 to 30 seconds. So, again, don't say, well, I put sanitizer in my hands, now I can do everything, and I can do everything for hours on end, and I'm protected. Don't fall in that false sense of security. I don't need to wash my hands because I put sanitizer in my hand 2 hours ago. No. If you're tying your shoe, if you're down by the floor, if you're eating, drink, wash your hands before and after. In addition, eat right. Viruses, not just this virus, any virus, it likes sugar and it likes alcohol. So reduce your alcohol intake, reduce your food intake. Folks that have a history of smoking, I believe the studies over time, based on the information I'm hearing, those folks are more vulnerable. And remember, the most vulnerable are those 70 and above. That doesn't mean people less than 70 don't get this. People do get this that are less than 70 years of age. But the key folks that we have to watch out for are folks over 70 and above, and those who are immunocompromised no matter what age. Existing heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, diabetes is a big one. If you look in Southeast Michigan, a preponderance of the folks that end up the sickest are folks that are obese and folks that are diabetic. And many times those two issues go hand in hand. If you have any kind of bone marrow issue, or if you're on any chemotherapy agents or any type of medications that reduce your immune system, those are the folks that should be at home. If someone is sick in your home, you should stay at home as well. If you are the sick one, you should not be going out, you should be at home. So those basic principles, and one of the issues that we push on, and if you look at our videos with Dr. Peter Glidden, nutrifying. The more you nutrify and build up your immune system, the more protected you are. Now, this show and our platform, we had a major success. And I spoke about this last weekend, and I was hot under the collar because the governor of Michigan decided she was going to practice medicine without a license. And she was going to restrict the use of two medications that in the field, whether you look in Italy, the case reports, France, not only the case reports, but one of the top, if not the top, infectious disease specialist in the world, Dieter Renaud. He has shown that hydroxychloroquine, also named trade name Plaquenil, along with azithromycin, also named like a Z-Pak, the antibiotic, combined, if you implement that in an early stage in folks after they start showing symptoms, the chance of them having to be hospitalized, the chance of them having to have a tube put down their throat to help them breathe, the chance of them having to go on a ventilator, and the chance of them dying falls precipitously. But as he points out, not everybody should be taking hydroxychloroquine in a Z-Pack. That should be reserved for those folks that are having symptoms at an earlier stage. So, what are the symptoms of coronavirus? I just want to touch on this again because it's very important. A fever, a cough, shortness of breath. Some folks have some upper respiratory type symptoms. Some people have, if you will, a sore throat. But remember, all the data out there in the United States show that approximately 85 to 90, but closer to 90% of folks that are convinced they have coronavirus and then get tested, test negative, not positive, negative, which means they have influenza A, influenza B, or some other infectious disease issue going on. So if you start getting symptomatic, treat it like you normally would if having a cold or a flu. If you find you're not improving, call your doctor. Don't go into the hospital, because I can tell you the hospitals are very busy and there are a lot of bad germs in a hospital. So if you don't have it going in, you might have it coming out. So you want to try to minimize your contact with hospitals unless your symptoms are escalating. So have symptoms, treat it like you have a normal cold, normal flu. All of a sudden, though, you start noticing symptoms aren't going away, they're feeling a little different, call your doc. Your doc will tell you, come on in for a test, because now we're having those tests that are more readily available, or go to the urgent care. They'll direct you in the appropriate direction. And depending on your symptoms and your presentation will determine if they keep you in the hospital or send you home. The big victory we had, is that there was a great reporter, as I mentioned last weekend, with the Detroit News, who wrote an article about what Whitmer did, trying to practice medicine without a license, suggesting docs and pharmacists and anyone who took care of a patient that started them with coronavirus on hydroxychloroquine and a Z-Pack, well, there would be administrative action taken and looked into, which was beyond totalitarian. So she had to swallow a very bitter freedom pill, because between the writer for the Detroit News on this issue and what we did on this platform, and there was nobody else in the bought-off lamestream fake media speaking about this. We went on social media. We went on this radio station. We went on with this show on my platform on YouTube and on the subscription side of the platform, and we let this out. Well, as I mentioned last week, she and her crew in her administration backed off. And what they did is they said, okay, they took a step back and they said, all right, if docs or pharmacists believe that this treatment would help a coronavirus patient, it's between the patient and the doc. And that's the way it should have been from the very beginning. But then she took another step. Now remember, this is the same person, Whitmer, practicing medicine without a license, threatening providers if they did the right thing, which have been shown in studies in Italy, in South Korea, in China, in France, that these medications are beneficial for folks with coronavirus and would not overtax the hospital systems. Less ventilators, less personnel, less having to use gowns and masks. It was a no-brainer, right? So now, this week, what happens? Headline from Detroit News. Michigan, Whitmer, remember, Doc Whitmer, fake Doc Whitmer. Michigan requests hydroxychloroquine from national stockpile to treat coronavirus. The state of Michigan has requested hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine distributions from strategic national stockpile for use on certain patients with coronavirus. The request is based on the Food and Drug Administration's announcement that the anti-malarial drug was granted emergency use authorization, said Lynn Sutphin, a spokeswoman for the State Department of Health and Human Services. she did not have information on the immediate amount that Michigan requested. Of note, in this same article, Henry Ford Health System in Southeast Michigan has been using this, and here's what they, for a period of time, a Henry Ford Health System official said the hospital is using hydroxychloroquine treatments on the majority of its patients hospitalized with COVID-19 coronavirus, and has seen success. Henry Ford Health has had, quote, a number of success stories, end quote, using the drug among, quote, severely ill, end quote, patients, said Dr. Marcus Zervos, Division of Infectious Disease in the 5-hospital system of Henry Ford. Folks, if it were not for the opportunity of having this platform, this radio show, DaveJanda.com, the YouTube channel, you put immense pressure on the governor to stop practicing medicine without a license, to provide the necessary treatments for our citizens, because, folks, every governor in every state was watching this totalitarian move in Michigan. Remember, prior to Whitmer doing this in Michigan, that governor in Nevada pulled a similar move. Now, it's interesting. The governor of Nevada who pulled this move was relying on his health policy officials. And it's interesting when you do a deep dive on this governor of Nevada and his health policy officials, not one of them has been licensed to practice medicine in the United States. This chief doc in Nevada got his MD degree in Romania, did a residency reportedly in South Africa in OB-GYN, obstetrics and gynecology, came to the United States, was never licensed, did some public health work. That's great. Public health officials are wonderful. But if they've never treated a patient and they're not licensed to practice medicine, I'm not sure what that governor based his decision on, because the other 2 people on that board also were not MDs, and they had never treated a patient with an infectious disease problem. And every governor was watching. And when Whitmer backed down because of you and the heat you put on her and her officials, every governor in the state, and every actually political leader in the world, took a step back. And I believe that enhanced the healthcare freedom, the safety and the wellness, not just of every person in the state of Michigan, but of every American citizen and every citizen of the world. That's the effect you, the listening audience of Operation Freedom, the listening and viewing audience of Operation Freedom on YouTube, and our subscribers. And let's face it, if it were not for our subscribers, this radio show, our YouTube channel, and DaveJanda.com, both the free side and the public side, as well as the subscription side, would not exist. Because without our subscribers, with the costs we have, we would have gone under a couple years ago when we launched the subscription service. Folks, we've had a major victory. I want you to go to bed tonight knowing that you, as a freedom fighter on this platform, saved thousands of people's lives based on your actions and stepping forward. You're listening to Operation Freedom. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our accessory bunker in a lying down position, face down position, at least till next week. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Dream big, dare to fail, and we'll be back after the next commercial break.